Michael Morales Torres para Lucha Libre Online y el calce junto a mí, la próxima gran superestrella, la nueva joya de la corona de TNA Wrestling. Anteriormente Alexander Hammerstone, ahora solamente Hammerstone, llega directamente acá a Lucha Libre Online. Hammerstone, it's an honor to have you here as our guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's an absolute honor. You made news all around the world after your decision. You were one of the talents that were inquired by all the companies all around the world. We don't have to name them, but you decided to make TNA Wrestling your new home, and TNA in its best moment, in my opinion. It's coming back with the rebranding. It's coming back with top tier talent in all the divisions. We've seen good people coming in, like Nick Nemitz, for example, and yourself. What motivated your decision to say, hey, I want to make TNA Wrestling my home?
Hey, you touched on a little bit in the way you presented the question. It's kind of TNA in its best moment is during the rebrand, during all this energy, during putting their best foot forward of saying, hey, like where we are top dogs in the wrestling industry. During all that buzz was when they reached out to me to come into Hard to Kill. And, at that time, I hadn't locked down with any company. I hadn't made anything final. And even with TNA, we hadn't made anything final. We had agreed to do the Hard to Kill pay per view. And I came in on that night and, I got to wrestle 20 minutes on one of the biggest pay per views of the year with one of their top stars, and an incredible match at an incredible venue. It was just everything about that night was just, it was one of the best nights of my wrestling career thus far. And then to get home and to see all the praise and all the buzz like coming my way that I had never gotten before, and it's just like, I don't want this to be the only time I wrestle for this company, not only that, to come in and lose on my debut, put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I felt like I had to come and get that win back. So, not only did I want to continue wrestling for TNA, I wanted to get a revenge against Josh. But yeah, man, like after Hard to Kill, like I couldn't shake the feeling that like that was the place that I was supposed to be, that there was more work for me to do with this company.
Man, your physique is something that has caught everyone's attention. What's the secret behind Hammerstone's genetics? Like, there's no way of fixing this. It's sometimes it's genetics, sometimes it's really, really hard work. What's the key behind that Adonis body you have?
Man, I mean, if sometimes if people see my Throwback Thursdays, they know in high school I was, about 130 pounds soaking wet band kid.
You were
Um,
skinny?
I was a scrawny little kid. I played drums in the jazz
No.
band. But you know what? At a certain point, I knew I fell in love with weight training, and I kind of knew like I wanted to be a pro wrestler. But to me, it was almost a silly dream. It was almost like the kid saying he wants to grow up and be, the president or grow up and be an astronaut. It's like almost just like too far fetched. Like it felt like that for me. But nonetheless, like I still kept training nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. My first day of wrestling school, I was already 220 pounds. And it's just been an aspect of professional wrestling that growing up, I always gravitated towards, the guys like Triple H and Hulk Hogan and these giant physiques. Like I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. They were like superheroes. So I knew I always wanted to be able to bring that element to fans if I was going to do it. Um, so it's been an element of pro wrestling that has always been of the utmost importance to me. Obviously, I've always tried to, develop my character, develop my in ring, develop all these other things, but nothing is going to come in the way of me getting in the gym and working on my physique. And because I think, it all comes together. When you talk about the Hammerstone character, a big, broody, bully, like intimidating presence, you take the physique away and, it's a missing puzzle piece. The whole thing falls apart. So I've always thought that was very important to the way I wanted to present myself and to the character I wanted to create for fans to latch on to.
Alexander Hammerstone had, the last tapings, you had the opportunity to be at the 2,300 arena at Philly. If I'm not mistaken, ECW's original venue. You had the opportunity to compete there before, but the last time you did it with an ECW original in Little Guido Maritato. And I know this match still hasn't aired, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it will very soon. What can you recall of that night? That was your return moment at TNA, 2,300 arena, Philly, ECW original arena that you've competed before, formerly Nuncio, now Little Guido. How was that night for you?
I mean, you talk about, like you said, that's a building that I have performed in the past, but coming back there with TNA on a larger scale, a whole different presentation. When you have guys like Dreamer and you have guys like Guido, you have all these ECW originals in the back. There definitely was something special about that night. The crowd was phenomenal. We had sellouts, extreme energy all night. And I can't spoil too much. Like you said, the matches, there's still some stuff left to air. So I think the fans have some good footage to look forward to when they see it.
If you allow me, I'm going to say something very quick in Spanish. Y eso es que el sábado 20 de abril, ya estamos ahí al lado, sábado 20 de abril, TNA trae su super evento Rebellion. Los boletos se están vendiendo así. Ticketmaster para boletos. La última vez fue un sold out que estuvieron. Ellos están en The Palms, Las Vegas, Nevada. Hay mucho latino por la zona. Hay mucho puertorriqueño, hay mucho mexicano, hay mucho colombiano, hay mucho chileno. Dense la vuelta, van a pasarla bonito. Vegas es un lugar excelente para estar. TNA está volviendo. La última vez estuvieron sold out, así que el 20 de abril están con Rebellion a las 8 de la noche por Fight TV y al otro día tienen el Fallout, que es el 21 directamente, donde van a estar teniendo sus tapings. I was discussing with them. Rebellion, this is going to be the Palms, Las Vegas, Nevada, April 20th. Ticketmaster for tickets and Fight TV for pay-per-view. Your match, you have the opportunity to face the new top guy, to say it this way, in TNA, or the new franchise player. Obviously, Moose is a title holder, and we have Nick Nemeth, and we have you, and we have a lot of talent. But for the past couple of years, TNA has been investing drastically in the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, and he has delivered. Longest reigning champion, among many other accolades he has, achieving outside the TNA square circle. Alexander Hammerstone, what can we expect from this match? This is the moment you've been expecting, basically.
This is match number 3 between myself and Josh, and
1-on-1, right?
yep, we walked in on in Hard to Kill, and a lot of people were
Sacrifice.
calling. Yeah, Hard to Kill. A lot of people called it the match of the night, and that was when we first wrestled. And there was nothing personal there. There was nothing on the line besides a little bit of pride. But over the past couple weeks, this has reached a boiling point. And now, when we go at it Rebellion, now it's personal. Now there's some animosity. Now there's something to prove. I can tell you this much: Josh is not getting that little piece of headgear back. Um, but you take a match that on paper has two guys that are going to deliver quality wrestling, and you put something personal, you put some animosity, you put some anger behind it. It's just going to be that much better. The stakes are higher. Um, and like you said, it's match number 3. It's 1-1. I really got to win this one. I'm shaping my trajectory and my future in this company. And as far as I'm concerned, like, Rebellion is a must win for me. So I'm going in there with everything on the line, and there's no way I'm not going to beat the living hell out of Josh on pay-per-view and steal the show.
As you guys did the last 2 times. If the outcome is as you expect, the W, the victory, the final win over Josh Alexander, the 2-1, what will be next for Hammerstone and TNA? There are a lot of things that you have to analyze. One of them is the TNA title. The TNA World title is there, depends if Moose or Nick Nemeth is going to have it at the end of the night, but, it's still an option.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I would like to say that I'm gunning straight for the world title, I'm not ignorant to the fact that I just got in this company. I just debuted in January. That I just signed in March. I'm not ignorant to that fact. I know that there's a pecking order. I know that there's a ladder to climb. I know that I have a lot of obstacles in my way, and a lot of people that want to bite and want a taste of that title match before I get there. So honestly, I don't know exactly what's next, but there's a lot of incredible first-time matchups to be had. There's a lot of incredible work to be done. The talent in that locker room is unlike any other. So that being said, yeah, my long-term plan is to be a world champion. I think you look at Alexander Hammerstone, that's what you see. That being said, I am afraid to show up to work, put my work pants on, and do what has to be done. So it doesn't matter if I end up in the X division. It doesn't matter if I'm faced with a couple more heavyweight feuds before I get a taste at that world championship. Um, I'm going to show up every day, and I'm going to do what Hammerstone does.
TNA has been known all around the world for their partnerships. They have partnerships established with Lucha Libre AAA. They've had partnerships that have been rumored. They have a lot of, in the table. You had the opportunity to compete in a specific company in the West Coast, where TNA talent have been competing for several years. And that's, in my opinion, the #1 company in California, PCW Ultra. Over there, you have the opportunity to learn from someone like Yusuf Samael, or the Cheek, as they call him. A lot of talent was, involved in that equation or in that project. How did PCW Ultra help you reach your next level to where you are today?
I mean, listen, in the world of professional wrestling, every wrestling company you go through plays its own role. So, over the years, I've worked with several companies, and I've tried to learn something everywhere I go. Certain companies give me more opportunities than other to work with certain talent. You talk about, the partnerships with TNA, talking about, AAA, like, being in Arizona, I've worked with a lot of, these lucha companies and honed myself in that way, going over to Japan and honing my craft over there. Like, I've been all over the world. I've been working with these incredible companies, with these incredible minds. And I've never been a guy to think that you could do this all on your own. I've realized that you kind of are a sum of your experiences. And every experience I've got, I try to take the most out of it, and just, whether it's working with the most incredible talent in the world and learning something, or it's working with the absolute worst talent in the world and learning something. I've learned something all the way here, and it's all been bricks that have built up, the version of Hammerstone that was able to make it TNA. So I'm thankful to every company that's got me here.
The TNA tapings have been the place where basically the new talent or the newcomers have arrived. Last tapings, we saw people like Steph Delander or Matt Cardona arrive to the picture. Now it has been formally announced that Miyu Yamashita will be coming for the tapings on the 21st at the Palms, Las Vegas, Nevada. Is there any particular name from the independent circuit, or someone who has, you have worked before, that you look forward to maybe facing inside a TNA ring? There are a lot of people in the free agency, but there are a lot of people employed under partnerships like AAA, for example.
I mean, I think we already tackled it when you said, what are my goals in TNA? I'm looking up towards the title picture. I'm not looking down towards people who aren't even in the company.
Brilliant.
And that's not to say that they're below me. But the implication is that if that door opens and somebody wants to come in it and they want to crack at Hammerstone, I'm more than willing to do it, and I'm happy to do it. But I'm laser focused on what's in front of me. I don't have peripheral vision looking outside right now. That's not to say that there's not a lot of incredible talent out there that could very well be a part of TNA. As soon as Rebellion, you never know. There could be people showing up that we don't even expect there. But that being said, I'm not too focused about that right now, because I've spent a lot of years doing dream indie matches, and now I'm focused on the big picture, and that's for right now. That's Josh Alexander at Rebellion, and that's whoever wants to step up to me after that in TNA.
What's your message for the walking weapon? What's your message for Josh Alexander en route to this third match? You're facing again a top tier competitor all around the world, one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. So are you. What's your message for Josh?
I mean, I think I've set my message loud and clear week after week on TNA. I mean, I've been walking to the ring with his headgear. I took that from him. I took a part of Josh Alexander. Josh is absolutely one of the best. There's no doubt about it. But it's like I already said, he's the walking liability. Why did his longest world championship reign end? Because his body gave out on him. And you get in the ring with a guy like Hammerstone, as physical as I am. If your body wasn't going to give out on you, I'm going to make it give out on you. So Josh is absolutely one of the best. There's no doubt about it. He beat me fair and square. But when you go up against me, it's all neutralized. I am not going to get on the mat and wrestle Josh Alexander. I'm going to beat up Josh Alexander. I'm going to break Josh Alexander. He can be one of the best wrestlers in TNA wrestling. He could be the gatekeeper. He could be the franchise. That's all fine and well. Just get out of my way, And at Rebellion, I'm going to make sure he gets out of my way for good.
El sábado 20 de abril, The Palms, Las Vegas, Nevada es el lugar. TNA presenta Rebellion. Alexander Hammerstone o Hammerstone se va a estar enfrentando a The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, en la tercera lucha. 1-1 está la situación. Esta es la vencida, esta es la definitiva. Una de las luchas más grandes de la industria de la lucha libre en este 2024. Van a ser estos dos caballeros. Se robaron el show las dos veces anteriores y estoy seguro de que lo van a hacer esta vez. Pueden sintonizarlo desde las 8 de la noche, hora del este, a través de Fight TV y para boletos en ticketmaster.com. Hay mucho latino en el área. No pierdan la oportunidad. La última vez fue un sold out. Todos los shows están siéndose prácticamente sold out. Los boletos se están vendiendo rápido, así que adquiere el tuyo cuanto antes. Puedes hacer clic aquí a la parte de abajo y vas a encontrar el enlace de ticketmaster.com o simplemente pueden ir a través de la página de ellos directamente y lo van a conseguir. Sir, it's been an absolute honor to have you here as our guest at Lucha Libre Online. Wishing you success in your pathway inside TNA and in your new pathway inside the pro wrestling industry. Last but not least, what message can you send the fans out there so they can tune in this Saturday, April 20th to Rebellion?
You know, at Hard to Kill, I debuted, and anybody who missed it, they heard the buzz. They heard what people were talking about. And now I'm here. Like I said, we have just raised the stakes. And if my match with Josh doesn't sell the show, look at the rest of the card. This card is stacked top to bottom. It's going to be an incredible night of wrestling. You got Mustafa Ali versus Jake Something, Moose versus Nick Nemeth, Eric Young versus Kaz. All these incredible matches. It's going to be a must watch pay per view. So even if you aren't turning in just for your boy Hammer, tune in. You're not going to regret it. It's going to be great, and it's going to be great watching my hand get raised at the end of it.
Man, looking forward to it. Let's say something in Spanish one last time. Todos los jueves a las 8 de la noche, TNA presenta su programación semanal Impact Wrestling a través de Access TV y a través del canal de YouTube de ellos directamente, pero principalmente Access TV todos los jueves a las 8 de la noche. Y nuevamente The Palms, Las Vegas, Nevada, el sábado 20 de abril para Rebellion. No se lo pueden perder por nada del mundo. Let's wrap this up, pero en español. Hammerstone y Michael Morales Torres para Lucha Libre Online y El Calce, porque en español nadie lo hace mejor. Y gente, nos vemos en Rebellion.